I'm watching this neuropsychiatrist who knows about narcissism like, I don't know, he's got it. He's able to explain to you why people are narcissistic and how.
By the way, totally arbitrary. There's no foundation to this number. They just get the number 10%. Well, sorry to tell you, it's
narcissism, having autism and narcissism, he touched on that, but I didn't pay attention. Autistic people care the way they can. Trust me, I know. I'm autistic and brain damaged. I don't have narcissistic personality disorder. When I got Nicole Gerard, she did my MMPI, a short version of it. And she was surprised to find out I'm not narcissistic. It's a spectrum. And yes, I am on the spectrum of autism. Definitely on the spectrum of brain damage. And he was just saying how no one can describe some of this stuff. I can describe what it's like to have your fight or flight reactions always at the touch of your fingertips that you can't control. Because most of the time when you decide to fight, it's so vile that people can't deal with your truth.
It's like your apartment, you know? You get up in the morning, you go to the toilet. At that moment, only 2% of your apartment is active. The toilet. I don't know what you're doing there.
The toilet. I have to use the bathroom in the morning.
But then you exit the toilet and go to the kitchen.
Okay, so my flight or flight reaction around my hypothalamus is compromised. It's got a lot of pressure on it because I have a subarachnoid cyst. There are parts, my pia mater does not get blood to it in certain pieces, especially the size my cyst was when I was first diagnosed, which is 4 centimeters. It was the size of a small plum. And it still has that sticky, adhered arachnoid membrane stuck at 4.5 centimeters. Because you got to think, you can't pull that shit off of your brain. That's where your nerves branch out. Your tendrils come from your brain into your spinal cord and down into your central nervous system. When those connections are compromised, there are decisions that you make or might not make because you are missing part of the way your brain thinks. Because you've suffered a head trauma, you've done too much cocaine, you are on too many medications like fentanyl for 20 years, and you cannot convey properly what is going on with your brain because nobody else can articulate it. Because you see what is structures are compromised, but you don't know what they do because you're dumb. You're dumb. You can't even listen to your own brains, and I have to be quiet and listen to mine. When it's on my optic nerves, I have to be very careful about how I look at things and what I look at, because sometimes when I'm in the car, I have to close my eyes because I'm so overstimulated that my brain catches on fire, and because my myelin sheath, which is like, I don't know, the electrical tape to your central nervous system and nerves, because my myelin sheath has been worn thin, all my nerves go through my brain and burn it. And if you can think of what a burn is like on your brain, the best way to describe it is if you get a burn from hot water on your brain. And that's because it's subarachnoid, not just arachnoid. Arachnoid cysts have a different experience altogether, and the reason why my experience is unique among all of them is my breeding.
It's an opioid.
Oh, opioids. I love this Russian guy. I want to fuck him like a hurricane. Anyways, when Your myelin sheath is worn thin because of multiple sclerosis, which causes plaques on your brain, which is basically clumps of your nervous system coming together and not being able to relax because the tightness adheres so deeply in your brain that it causes plaques that keep growing on top of plaques if you're not careful. And I haven't been careful lately because I'm in a lot of pain and I know I need brain surgery. I also need to be back on my multiple sclerosis medications, but I have a dumb fuck for a caregiver who doesn't listen to me. And, oh, well, you need to change your appointment with your neurosurgeon. Why don't you change it, asshole? You're my fucking caregiver.
Beware of these myths. Be careful of coaches, experts.
I know you're watching these.
Victims.
I know you have to know what I think of your little clitoris because you get pissed off and don't communicate except in anger, and I don't pay attention to your bullshit, just like you don't pay attention to mine until you see me in the whites of my own fucking eyes. That's how I can trust somebody, doctor. Yeah, I don't trust anybody. Especially myself. I wrote, my poem for senior year was Senior, Senior, Sad Senior, blah, 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 blah. And I can't trust anyone, especially myself.
What are the myths of the
I think it's around here somewhere. It's the best poem I ever wrote, especially because I was so young when I wrote it. Senior, Senior, Sad Senior, Senior against drunk driving. That's what I was against. And my sister's first real love, who was my brother's best friend, ended up wrapping himself around a telephone pole. I told him I had syringomyelia. He looked at me and says, I do too. Can you please kill me? And I wanted to kill him because my syringomyelia, what it does, because the pressure was so high on my central nervous system, this cyst is like right in the back, and they only seen it one time on an MRI because all the rest of them are dumb fucks and can't read a fucking scan. God, they're stupid, especially those assholes at Yale who couldn't see an arachnoid cyst. Oh, it magically disappears after 12, 15 years. I was in my 30s. After 40 years, it just magically disappeared.
We tend to be creatures of habit, and we tend to repeat.
Anyways, the pressure in my spinal cord is elevated because I have that cyst in my thing, and with each heartbeat, I feel it go up and down and hollowing out, just like going up and down and hollowing out the center of my spinal cord, and the bones around it are starting to expand.
People repeat their mistakes.
It hurts
Why is there
a lot. At least I don't have to be on fentanyl anymore. I'm glad I'm off that fucking curse, although I would smoke opium any day. And why is my name Catherine Elizabeth Clay? Because I'm a rock star. Oh, they can't explain what the hypothalamus does, because there's nothing wrong with theirs. They know how some of these, I don't know how they've labeled some of these things, but Chiari malformation, I feel like I'm choking all the time. I'm like, and my Chiari malformation is mild. My brother has one. He also had a pituitary tumor, and they cut his fucking pituitary gland out. I was so fucking pissed when I found that out. Because nobody was there to protect my narcissistic cunt of a brother. And he didn't trust me, and I didn't trust him, but he's the asshole who told me to come off fentanyl. I listened to my brother. He was my best friend up until we moved to fucking Goshen. Oh, land, oh, Goshen. My dad didn't want us to be next to our mother, who scheduled her fucking life around her children. And how she taught school in Jefferson County so she could be home when we got home and nurture us. And I did not accept my mother's nurturing until I was in college.
But this is
And she said, "You're an artist," and I didn't want to be. I wanted to speak Russian, which I do, because I thought it was a beautiful story about Cassius Marcellus Clay. And when I was in St. Petersburg walking around Peterhof, I felt myself with my hands behind my body, feeling that DNA going coursing through my veins, and how proud he was that I could see where he fell in love with the ballerina, even if I couldn't go into the houses. I didn't pay to go there. We just stood outside Peterhof. We didn't go inside because I had a guide that I got picked up at the hostel, because I don't believe in following have something dictated to me. He took me on the Pushkin tour too, so I saw where Raskolnikov got written up by all the Russians that came by, and naturally I had to put my signature on there.
You need to accept the
I accept the change that people cannot make because they're a bunch of dirty fucking assholes. They're great. Quiet! Stop barking. Start barking. Love, come here. You quit doing this. You quit being a dirty girl. Is it a Stormy Flufflesnoot? Yeah, I know. You guys haven't been OUT. They're upset. HURTING. Today would be a great fentanyl day. Oh, self-help. I watch you. That's all the self-help I need. I watch you. I watch Narc Daily. I live and breathe Narc Daily because I have to have the encouragement to find the deep pieces of myself instead of being obliged to pay attention to other people's existence beyond my control. And the ones that are supposed to be in control of my bullshit aren't. And it's pissing me off. Because I don't want to live with it. I don't want to work with it. It's not my cup of tea anymore. I can't live like this. And I'm not going to.
Online self-styled experts with
all because some asshole doesn't want to pay rent, and he gets paid to take care of me, and I should just be glad he lives with me. Fuck you, Rob. You robbed me of a lifestyle. You wouldn't pay rent. I had to take care of all that shit on my own, and when I couldn't take it anymore, I tried to kill myself just to get away. Just to get away, because I didn't know how to react, and I couldn't speak because I didn't have a voice, because you've done manipulated it out of me, especially after my husband died. And I come first, second, and third, and you do not. In my book, you go take care of your fucking skanky cunt of a self. Now I've got to put this on TikTok and speed it up. Why not keep going? I'm going to go up to 15 minutes. So the flight or fright reaction that is tied into your hypothalamus, if it's compromised, then it does different things. If you have a cyst, just a plain arachnoid cyst, it doesn't cause the same damage, because the reason why it causes damage is because it keeps blood vessels from getting to vital structures in your brain. And so because there was so much pressure on my brain that it pushed the cerebral spinal fluid through and took brains with it, which is why my shunt is clogged. And I don't know if I'm going through a relapse. I just know I don't feel well. And I don't have a caregiver that gives a shit.
I don't know, cancer or tuberculosis.
Oh, you just said multiple sclerosis.
Which is real, objective, out there. Trauma happens to you.
Yes, trauma never stops with me. I open my eyes and it's a trauma.
Unmitigated, counterfactual.
It hurts to see things, especially some of the shit I've seen on Facebook.
It's
All the stupid, retarded shit I've seen. The worst being that Boeing engineer that got fucked up the ass on YouTube when YouTube was young.
It's a fact.
When YouTube was young, when Napster actually existed, because those dirty fucking assholes were robbing us of their genius. And that shit should be free. Oh, believe me, Mark Zuckerberg took careful license with my shit, the way I structured my website over 24 years ago. It's almost a classic. It's been up that long, since 1997. 97, 2007, 2017. Yep, it's almost a classic. I think it is. It's 3 more years from 7, so that would make it 30. So it's 27, yep. Look at that. Catherine can do some math in her head sometimes. It depends on what it is. When I worked for a company called Paracel, my boss, Michelle Amiser, who I see watching me, I miss you, Mish. God, I miss you. I wish you would come, next time you come to LA, you spend some time with me. She was so fucking gorgeous. We have the same color eyes. I love Michelle Amiser. She taught me about sales. And she told me when we were she tried to describe the servers that we were selling. She was like, these calculate how a raindrop goes over the wing of a plane. And that's when I realized everything is a mathematical equation. From the way I tilt my head to the way I blink my eye, it's all mathematical equation that's going to be reanimated when we have our bodies back, when we're come back from Earth, like raised by wolves. There's going to be lots of cool things that are going to happen, and we're going to have at least a small society of different tribes of people representing in the space. And because there's zero gravity, our cells won't age like they do down here. You didn't think about that, did you? Time is a great healer. Time is also fucking bent. Feeling Cassius Marcellus Clay walk the grounds with actual gold statues was so overwhelming, so mathematically engaging. My physics teacher in high school couldn't understand how I could come up with the answer when he called on me, but when I went to apply it, I couldn't do the math. My sister taught me, my older sister was a math teacher, and she taught me basically consumer math, and that's how, that was before they made you start taking, what is it? Not trigonometry. I would have loved that, because I'm into triangles, because as a photographer, when you take a picture, if you have a triangle somewhere, it solidifies the photograph.
For example, committing suicide. Well, because
committing suicide.
With their own awards.
Oh, yes.
Love enriches us. It's about us.
And if you're not loved, what are you?
Love enriches us. Time opens this type of opportunity.
I have to love myself
Personal development.
Above everybody else, and I don't.
The very process of evolution.
I'm like a god, and I see the very different ways of everybody that exists on the planet. Time is different. Time is different to other people. I can close my eyes and move up through my DNA because I can see it.
Love and time provide us with meaning.
And it doesn't necessarily look like what they think. Because when it's inside and you can close your eyes and see your DNA, it's like bouncy.
They are not twin processes of healing.
Oh, look at those processes roll through my brain. It actually isn't burning right now, which is a miracle, because it feels like it was earlier, because I was thinking too hard. I don't know all the structures of the brain in the center, but when people have a left temporal lobe, they don't have the anger and frustration that people do when there's something on their pituitary gland, because it's stimulated in a way that is not conducive to life. When they're in the back, you're fucked. When you have a cyst near your cerebellum, fucking forget it. And I tell people, they're like, oh, my cyst isn't that big. I said, it doesn't matter how big it is. It's location, location, location. I can't tell you what it's like to have a cyst in your cerebellum. I can only tell you what it's like to feel the tonsils in the back of my brain start to descend, because it goes like this with my brain, and I feel like I'm choking.
For example, in casual sex, something like
casual sex,
2/3 to 4/5 of women have negative emotions after the encounter.
Oh, not me.
Over 50% of men
I get
show
unlived like when I fucked Kenny. You fucked Kenny, you bastard. You're fucking Eddie right about that. I'm a tomboy. I'm a double entendre tomboy. I'm Tom's boy. He got me a bike when I was 10 years old, a dirt bike. I fucking loved that asshole for that. And a fishing pole. It was one of the best birthdays I ever got, but not as good as having that Christmas where my mother gave me my first camera, and I actually found one with film, a disc camera. I felt like doing the happy dance.
Sex is out of fashion because it's not a pleasant experience.
I'll fuck when I feel it. Otherwise, I'm just into myself lately.
In terms of release, physiological release. But psychologically,
I don't do enough physiological release, and that's part of the problem, I'm sure, of why I'm so frustrated. I need to fuck Kenny again. Or that other dude. Rob said I had other guys over when I was fucking. I was like, really? Well, if I don't remember their name, then I guess they don't exist. That one's Carlos. I wouldn't mind having him over here now. It's not as disgusting as it was, and I saw where he lives. I don't want to live with anybody else except Derwin. And I can't get in touch with Derwin, and I'm just so upset about that.
It's a lottery. It's a casino. It's a roulette.
I miss him.
It's a numbers game.
He always makes me feel good about myself. If the mind can perceive, then the body can achieve. Or I don't know what he says. He's just smart. If I want to read what he says, I can.
This negative experience of sex is true.
I have only had negative when I found out I was being raped. When I was physically raped the first time, and I was like, was that rape? That was violent.
Still, overall,
he couldn't come, and then he blamed me for it, and left me there with the door open, laying on the back of my bed. Maria, she owns that house, and she said she found some of my old mail.
In many cases, disappointment and regret.
I do not regret anybody I let inside my body. It's my body, and it is very empowering because I enjoy myself when I fuck. There we go. I'm over 23 minutes.